So you want to start a business, you just don't know what kind of business you want to start. So this question I wrestled with a lot as I was trying to figure out what business that I wanted to start. I had a whole lot of ideas. I had a background in video and film production, but I didn't know if I wanted to continue in that. I thought maybe I wanted to explore different avenues and different options. And I left a lot of options on the table. A lot of them had nothing to do with video. And I went pretty far down that rabbit hole with some of them. I went down this process of building out what that offer would look like, what the business would look like, what the business model was. And I was throwing a lot of ideas around that I was initially interested in. And it wasn't until I went further along the process that I realized I don't think I could do this for more than a year, let alone 3 or 5 years. So I don't think I'm going to be very successful in this. I'm going to burn out pretty quick. And so I'd go back to square one until I'd find another idea. And I'd basically go through that cycle over and over again until I found something that I was really excited about, that I felt passionate about, that I could see myself doing in the next 5 years. And that was really exciting to finally get to that point. I want to share some of my approaches that I took that might be able to help you in this process to help find a business that's going to work for you. So the first thing is when you're thinking about starting a business is how serious are you in this? Maybe you want to start a business because of circumstance. Your job may not be as secure as you'd like. You're not making the amount of money that you're hoping to. I would just channel and think, how much do I really want this? Is this something that I'm willing to take risks for? Or is this something that I'm just interested in exploring and I'm not sure if I actually really want to commit to this? And there's not a wrong answer, whatever it is, but it's just important to identify how serious am I about this? And if this does start to go well, am I going to be ready for that? And if it starts to go bad, am I also going to be able to stay on board with it? So assuming you answer yes, that I want to do this, no matter what capacity or degree that is, the next thing that I would look at is what are you naturally good at? The obvious answer is to look at your career and where you've been at. Have you been in customer service? Have you been in marketing, advertising? What are your hobbies and what are your skills outside of work? There's a whole array of different things that you can look at when it comes to this. So look at where you're at already and what your natural skill sets are. Going back to my experience, the only real profession that I had ever been in had to do with a camera, had to do with video, and had to do with editing. That was really my bread and butter. That's what I was known for. That's what I was good at. That's where I've invested so much in myself. So it was really easy for me to identify a skill that I was already good at, that I could add value immediately, starting from zero. Now there's one thing that I think trumps your previous experience or skills, and that is your personality. So this might seem a little bit interesting, but this needs to be a big focus when you're looking at starting a business, to look at who you are as a person and to really identify what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. One thing that I'm really glad that I have spent a lot of time on has been myself. Understanding who I am as a person, what are my internal motivators, what type of topics and ideas really fuel me and give me a lot of energy, and what is it that when I wake up I get excited to do something or I get excited to think about. I think getting to know yourself is really important, but how do you go about that? Well, I'm sure you've heard of a lot of different personality tests. I know some people may not agree with these altogether or like them, but I think that it can be really powerful to get an outside perspective of yourself. So the first one that comes to mind is the Myers-Briggs test, or 16 personalities. You take the test and it gives you this combination of letters that basically categorize you as you are this kind of a person and you do this and this happens. So like for myself, I'm an INTJ. When I read the report of who an INTJ is, I resonate with a lot of what is on that paper. I'm not going to be as effective if I'm trying to give to the world in a way that is not natural for me. So I'm not saying you have to just abide by whatever this sheet of paper says you are and you have to do exactly what it says, but I do think there's a lot of power into reading something from an outside perspective that you might be able to identify with, to dig deeper and try to find more of your true self. The next thing that I think is incredibly important is to find what is important to you. So dig deep into your soul. What is your mission statement? If you as a person had a mission statement, what would it be? What is the most important thing to you? What are your values? What are your morals? And what do you want the world to know about you? If you can identify that and then incorporate that in whatever business you're trying to start is, you're gonna be a lot more successful. There are so many businesses that are artificial and that are fake and try to act like whatever they're trying to support is important to them, but it really isn't, and it's because they haven't dug deep into themselves to find what is important to them. We all have things that are important to us, all of us, and we just need to figure out what that is. And this isn't something that I think you just sit on a couch for 10 minutes and you figure it out. It's a lot of work in progress. It's something that we're continually being shaped and molded by. Once money is no longer an issue for me, what am I gonna work for? That's important to know what that is, because if you don't have that nailed down and you make your money, then you have no purpose and your business is not gonna have purpose either. And if you add all those elements together, then what you have the potential for is to start something that you are excited and passionate about, that motivates you not because of the dollars, but because of the purpose. And in that purpose, you're finding immense joy. And because of that, you're operating in your own unique abilities, which is incredibly powerful and is going to give you so much more leverage and momentum so that you can bring off of the ground something that you really are passionate and excited about. This can be super overwhelming. I'm not saying you have to identify all 3 pillars, but I think it's a good thing to have on the back of your mind when you're starting things. Like, if I'm gonna start this thing, does it align with my values? Does it align with my strengths? Is this something that I can naturally do? And is this something that I'm good at? If one of those 3 is missing, it's gonna be a little bit harder to find success. And the last thing that I think is really important to always ask yourself in this whole process, but especially after you've maybe identified your 3 main pillars, is, can you see yourself doing this long term? Businesses take a lot of time, they take a lot of investment, and it's not a get rich quick thing. It's not a, I'm gonna start my own business and it's just gonna flip. I'm gonna start making content, and I'm gonna start marketing the business, and I'm gonna have amazing sales closing left and right, and it's just gonna be like a breeze because I found the perfect business for me. There's gonna be a ton of obstacles and things to overcome and a lot of growth, and it is a hard thing I've discovered myself. In 5 years, what is this thing gonna look like? What am I gonna be doing in it? And whatever that thing is, am I excited about that? Am I psyched up to do it for another 5 years? Am I excited to exit it at that point? Do I want nothing to do with this thing? It's always good to be an optimistic person, but it's also good to be realistic with yourself. Am I gonna be content having team members on my team that I am delegating and managing? Am I gonna be happy dealing with happy clients and angry clients? Am I gonna be able to manage that? And these are these questions that I had to vet myself. Some of them I thought, I may not be super excited about that part, but this other part of it gets me so excited that I'm willing to tackle this part of it. I hope that makes sense. I mean, life is tough, and so we're always just thinking about next day, next month, what are we gonna do to be better than last time? But it's good to really look at the big picture and to see, okay, let's look further down the road. Am I gonna be able to make it that next leap? And am I gonna be ready to continue after that? The last thing that I want to mention after everything that I've said, just give yourself permission to let your mind wander. Think of all the possibilities, really dream big, go through all of the options. Don't leave anything on the table, don't limit yourself, because you have no idea what you're capable of. And you have no idea how much goodness you can actually provide the world. And so don't limit yourself. Just because maybe you've done sales your entire career does not mean you have to only do sales. The reason that you probably want to start a business is because you want to have a better life. And to have a better life is to do something that makes you feel better. And that could be anything. There's so much other things out there. There's so much opportunity for everyone, no matter what it is. People make careers out of the craziest things. So dream big and don't limit yourself to anything. Thank you so much for watching this video. This topic really gets me psyched up. So if you found any value in it, I would greatly appreciate if you could leave a like. Thank you again, and I will see you next time. Cheers.